Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Zeitler and my peers. My name is Andrew Simser, and this semester for my research project, I have been looking into the effect that dams have on fishing in Wisconsin. It was actually a great topic because it allowed me to drive all over our area and take some pictures of some dams, which personally I think are pretty cool. So my research question and objective was to identify the effects that dams have on fish populations, specifically in Wisconsin, and to answer if dams contribute to the other causes of fish population and decline. So for my methods, what I wanted to do was do a survey of all the research I could find on dams and their effect on fish populations. One of the first things I found out is that the region you are in greatly impacts not only obviously the flora and fauna present, but how a dam will affect a river. A lot of the literature that I found in my review, I tried to center at least in North America, just because in other parts of the world I felt that fish migratory patterns, water temperature, and sedimentary factors were different than they are here. So a lot of the research that I based my findings on was research done in the Pacific Northwest, on the Columbia and Snake Rivers. There were a couple of journal articles I looked into there. I also looked at some studies done here in Wisconsin as well as around the Great Lakes Basin that sort of informed the way I understood dams' effects on rivers and fish population. So after going through some of the literature on this topic, I was given sort of mixed signals on the exact effect that dams have. As a direct cause of fish population loss, they are perhaps a minor contributor. They do this through blocking migration patterns as well as fish die-offs going through the dam. But as an indirect cause of fish population decline, specifically among cold water liking fish, um, like walleye and perch and muskie, dams do play a major role in the contributing factors to these population declines. Just a brief overview of dams in Wisconsin in general. Since settlers first came here, nearly 5,000 dams have been built in the state. The vast majority of them are very small, privately owned dams for either flood control or minor industrial needs. Um, the state of Wisconsin has identified more than 200 major dams in the state that pose a direct threat downstream were there an emergency at the dam. And this map you see in the slide is the location of those dams that pose threats downstream. The reason I chose this exact image is because it's a very good representation of the large important dams in the state, and it helps you see that they are spread out all over, just pretty evenly across Wisconsin. So what we can say about dams is that they not only block migratory routes for fish, but they have a net increase on water temperature, which is certainly harmful to walleye populations and perch populations and muskie populations. Also, in a rapidly industrializing and agricultural state, dams have become impoundment sites for all of the runoff that comes from our farm fields and from our cities. Um, the settlement, or excuse me, the sediments and chemicals running off that become impounded behind dams lower water quality. This is especially true the further south you move through the state as the soil becomes more fertile and agriculture becomes a bigger portion of the industrial economy in that area. It's also identified that the controlling of lake levels on flowages in the Northwoods has resulted in overdevelopment of the shorelines, which has a net negative effect on water quality. Research also shows that climate change will only further exacerbate this warming and rapidly declining water quality. In conclusion, some studies that I have looked at have shown that the walleye population has dropped approximately 27% since 1990 in the state of Wisconsin. This is true all over the state. It's an even greater percentage of population drop the further north you go, as waters are more rapidly heating up there than they are in southern lakes. Algae blooms continue to be a major problem, specifically in the central and southern portions of the state, where farm runoff is a major detriment to water quality. While many studies show that dams are not the prime cause for fish die-offs, there's a great deal of evidence that dams are directly contributing to the factors that harm fish populations. And this is a big deal in cabin country, it's a big deal to the DNR, it's a big deal to our fish fries. You notice people serve cod nowadays instead of perch or walleye. It's because it's harder to get, it's more expensive. As climate change goes on, these problems will only get worse. And dams, despite serving a vital industrial and community safety purpose in the state, definitely have a detrimental effect to our fish populations. Here are some of my cited sources. And some more cited sources. Every picture except for the map of dams was taken by me. So thank you guys. Sorry it ran a little bit long. Enjoy the rest of your day.